Step aside, janitor. This is a federal matter. That's what one of them barked as they stormed past me with rifles drawn. They didn't ask my name, didn't look twice, just saw my uniform, my mop, and assumed. But when I calmly said 5 words, the entire SWAT team froze mid-step, and their leader turned pale. Because those weren't just words. They were an order from the man who used to command them. If you believe respect should come before rank, comment. Respect the quiet ones below. I've been working nights as a janitor at the perimeter gate of the old federal training complex for years. I'm 74 now. Clean floors, sign off deliveries, not at passing agents. That's my job. Most people don't talk to me. They see the cap, the gray mop, the faded overalls, and move on. Which is fine, I prefer the silence, but that Friday night was different. Way different. Around 2:00 a.m., a blacked-out SUV screeched to a stop at the gate. Out poured a full SWAT team, helmets, rifles, vests. This is federal now. Lock the perimeter. No one in, no one out. One of them shoved past me, almost knocking my mop down. I stepped aside quietly, but when I saw where they were headed, I knew something was wrong. They were about to breach Building 6, an old, secured warehouse from my previous life, the kind that doesn't appear on blueprints. One young man, eyes hard, turned to me and said, "Stay out of the way, janitor." I gave him a nod, then reached into my chest pocket and gripped a coin I hadn't shown anyone in over a decade. When I finally said, "Stand down. This building's under Echo 7 clearance," they froze because those 5 words, they were only known by the commanding officers of Operation Echo 7, a classified unit I used to lead. And just like that, everything changed. The night shift at the complex was usually peaceful. Just me, the occasional security patrol, and the ghosts of decisions made decades ago within these walls. I'd been here nearly 7 years, longer than most of the active agents. Watched administrations change, policies shift, priorities realign. Through it all, I mopped the same floors, emptied the same trash bins, kept the same secrets. My routine never varied. Clock in at 10 p.m., check the maintenance log, start with the administrative wing, work east to west. 2. The younger security guards called me Pops behind my back. The older ones called me Sir without knowing why. My personnel file read simple: James Wilson, maintenance staff, level 2 clearance. What it didn't mention: Commander Victor Hale, Special Operations Echo 7 Division, 1978-2005. That identity was buried under classification levels. Most of these kids didn't know existed. I preferred it that way. After 3 decades of decisions that kept me awake at night, I found peace in simple work, in tangible results, in clean floors that stayed clean at least until morning. The complex housed 14 buildings, but Building 6 was special, unmarked, secured by biometrics that hadn't been updated since I installed them in '94. Inside were archives no digital system would ever touch, operations so classified that even their codenames had codenames. I checked it weekly, ostensibly to clean, actually to ensure the seals remained unbroken. The secret safe. Most nights no one questioned the old janitor. No one noticed how my mop never seemed to cross that particular threshold. But tonight, with tactical boots, stomping toward that innocuous metal door, everything threatened to surface. I watched them closely. Standard breach formation, sidearms and assault rifles. No department markings, which meant this was Black Ops or someone was trying very hard to appear. The team leader, young, arrogant, unfamiliar, gestured toward Building 6 with quick hand signals. That's when I knew they had no idea what they were walking into. Before they could even react, the team leader approached me, face pale, eyes, scanning my badge again. "Sir, I wasn't aware." I cut him off. "No, you weren't, but you should have been." I pulled a rusted key from my belt and opened the gate manually. Inside now. Turns out someone had flagged an anonymous security breach on federal grounds. The SWAT team was dispatched automatically, but no intel, no context. They thought they were dealing with a rogue civilian. They were walking into a trap. It led them through the dark corridor, the air thick with dust and history. On the walls, still bolted down, was a framed mission brief, signed by me, 1987. One younger SWAT member asked, "Who are you?" "The man who signed your team's original charter," I replied, pointing to the signature. We walked deeper into the building, where I showed them a hidden console blinking red: unauthorized breach attempt from outside the base. "You were baited," I said. "Someone knew you'd storm in without checking. They wanted eyes off the perimeter so they could sneak in." One of the rookies looked at me like I was a ghost. "Sir, why are you just a janitor?" I gave him a tired smile. because sometimes the best view of a nation's soul is from the floor. The team leader, Lieutenant Monroe, according to his tactical vest, stood frozen, his assault rifle now pointed at the ground. Echo 7, he repeated the words weighted with recognition. But that's classified. I finished for him, and you're not authorized to discuss it. The other team members formed a loose semicircle around us, their expressions a mix of confusion and daunting respect. I slid my hand into my pocket and removed a tarnished challenge coin. The emblem was worn nearly smooth from years of worried thumbing, but the eagle and shield remained visible. Monroe recognized it immediately. Every team leader had one, he said. Commander Hale, he said quietly, realization washing over his face. Kabul 2003, Tehran extraction, NT-98. You're supposed to be dead, sir. The rumors of my death where I paused, allowing myself a small smile. Administrative, I moved past them to the door of Building 6, my janitor's keys jingling against my hip. The team parted silently. This facility houses more than cleaning supplies. I explained, unlocking a hidden panel beside the door. It's a honeypot, has been since the Cold War. We leak a minor intel, occasionally watch who comes sniffing. The panel revealed a dusty but functional security monitor. Green text scrolled across a black screen, the kind of technology the Pentagon had upgraded from decades ago. But old doesn't mean obsolete. Sometimes it means unhackable. There, I pointed to a blinking red dot on the eastern perimeter. Gate 3 has been compromised. Subtle magnetic bypass on the locks. Professional job. Monroe stepped forward, examining the monitor. Why weren't we notified of this facility's status? Compartmentalization. Your team was sent here because someone wanted to create a distraction. I tapped the screen. While you're making noise here, they're slipping in there. The youngest member of the team, barely 30 with earnest eyes, looked confused. But sir, our orders came directly from Central Command Authorization Code Alpha 6 Delta. I nodded a legitimate code from a compromised channel. Turning to Monroe, I asked, who's watching Gate 3 right now? His face fell. No one, sir. We pulled everyone for this operation, exactly as someone had planned. From beneath the console, I pulled out an old radio, not the sleek tactical equipment they carried, but a bulky analog relic. Sierra Echo 7903. I spoke clearly into the receiver. Verification broken arrow. A burst of static. Then a gruff voice responded. Copy, Commander. Still keeping the old frequencies warm. Relief washed over me. Rivers was still manning the backup systems. Some loyalties never die. We have a breach at Gate 3. Likely foreign asset. Proceed with protocol. Nightshade. Copy that. Team is mobile. I turned back to the SWAT unit. A reserve team is moving to intercept. Your team needs to maintain position here. Make it look like you're still executing your breach. Monroe hesitated. Sir, with all due respect, your orders were compromised. I cut him off. And if you breach this building without proper authorization, you'll trigger a security protocol that will lock down this entire complex for 72 hours. If you believe real power doesn't need spotlight, drop it in the comment. Within 15 minutes we locked down the true bridge point. Gate 3 on the far east wall. I coordinated silently, radioed the old codes. Every man in the SWAT unit followed without question. A man I didn't recognize, a former foreign asset flagged in the system, had been trying to plant surveillance gear. He was caught, silently, cleanly. No press, no panic. After the operation, the SWAT commander, still shaken, called HQ. They asked for a full debrief. I said I'd submitted the old way paper, not email. An hour later, a convoy of black SUVs arrived. This time, nobody ignored me. From the back stepped a 3-star general. When he saw me, he snapped to attention and saluted hard. Commander Hale, he said, on behalf of every operation you protected and every soldier you trained, we failed to recognize you, but no more. He turned to the SWAT team and said, this man led Operation Iron Shield Desert Watch in Echo 7. You walk in his shadow. One by one, every operative stood at attention. Some looked like they were near tears because they realized they'd nearly disrespected a living legend. The backup team moved with the precision of ghosts. Veterans I'd trained personally years ago now, silvering at the temples but no less lethal. They surrounded Gate 3 without a sound. No radios, no unnecessary chatter, just hand signals and the silent communication that comes from decades of shared missions. I watched from the security feed as they apprehended the intruder, a man in his 40s, European features, using equipment that screamed foreign intelligence when they secured him. Rivers, my old second in command, looked directly at the camera and gave a slight nod. Message received back at Building 6. Monroe and his team maintained the charade, making a show of examining the exterior while carefully avoiding the actual entrance. Central Command is asking for status updates, Monroe whispered when I rejoined them. They're getting impatient. Tell them you're conducting a thorough sweep, I replied. Technical difficulties with your comms. He nodded in understanding the game we were playing. The next hour passed in controlled tension. The intruder was secured in a holding area that didn't officially exist. The SWAT team continued their performance at Building 6, and I returned to my mop, wiping away boot prints from the corridor. Some habits die hard. At 0423, exactly as I'd expected, the first official response arrived. 3 black Suburbans with government plates moving with urgent purpose. The vehicle stopped at the main gate and I watched as a familiar figure emerged from the lead car. General Alan Whitmore, once my lieutenant, now wearing 3 stars. I hadn't seen him in person since I retired in Back then he'd respected my decision to disappear, to become the ghost that mopped the floors. Yet here he was, striding purposefully toward Building 6, flanked by aides, who looked too young to shave. Monroe intercepted him, offering a crisp salute. General Sir Lieutenant Monroe, Tactical Response Unit. At ease, Lieutenant. I understand there's been an incident. Yes, sir. We were dispatched to investigate a potential breach, but you encountered unexpected resistance. I finished stepping forward, mop still in hand. Whitmore turned, froze. The recognition in his eyes was immediate and complete. Commander, he whispered, then caught himself. I mean, Janitor will do fine, General, I said with the ghost of a smile. For a moment, he seemed unsure of protocol. Does a general salute a janitor, even if that janitor once commanded the most classified unit in the American intelligence apparatus? Military discipline won out. He straightened and snapped a perfect salute. Commander Hale, it's been a long time. Not long enough, apparently, I replied. Your security protocols have gotten sloppy. Michael, the aides exchanged confused glances. This janitor was addressing a 3-star general by his first name. Whitmore dismissed them with a gesture, then turned to Monroe. Give us the room, Lieutenant. Once alone, his formal posture relaxed slightly. Tom, what the hell happened here tonight? Someone used legitimate channels to create a distraction, I explained. Drew your SWAT team to Building 6 while infiltrating through Gate 3. Someone with inside knowledge. I nod. Your clearance verification protocols need updating. They recognize the codes but not the intent. An hour later, Whitmore addressed the SWAT team formally. Gentlemen, the man you initially dismissed as maintenance staff is Commander Victor Hale, founder of your unit and architect of half the protocols you operate under. He turned to me, respect evident in his eyes. This man led Operation Iron Shield, Desert Watch, and Echo 7. You walk in his shadow. They offered me reinstatement, honors, a formal ceremony. I declined them all. I didn't need it. I'd had my moment, not in the press, not with medals, but in the silence that followed their salutes. A week later, the SWAT commander returned. No gear, just a clipboard and a request. We're rewriting our training manual, he said. Can we include your words? I nodded. Only if you write the truth that I was almost forgotten, because I looked ordinary. The base gate was rebuilt a month later, clean reinforced. On the inside of the door, etched into the steel, were 5 words. Respect speaks before rank does. And beneath them, no signature, no name, just a unit crest from Echo 7. I still sweep the gate, still mop the floor, because some people need to see that the strongest men don't always stand in front. Sometimes they walk beside you quietly. Whitmore came to my quarters the next morning, not the janitor's closet, where I kept supplies, but my actual living space. A sparse efficiency apartment on the far side of the complex. Few knew I lived on site, fewer still had ever visited. The secretary wants to reinstate you, he said without preamble. Full honors, back pay, official recognition. I poured us both coffee and chipped mugs. No, Tom, I'm done with ceremonies. Michael, done with medals and recognition, he sighed, accepting the coffee. You saved lives last night again without any obligation to do so. I did my job, I corrected, same as I've been doing it 4 years, just with a different uniform. We sat in the comfortable silence of old comrades. The intruder was Russian GRU, he finally said, working with someone inside our intelligence community. We're still identifying the I nodded. Some things never change. They've upgraded the security protocols, he continued, implemented some of your old contingencies. Good bum. A week later, Lieutenant Monroe returned. No tactical gear, no team, just a clipboard and a request. We're rewriting our training manual, he said. Can we include your words? I nodded. Only if you write the truth that I was almost forgotten because I looked ordinary. The complex changed after that night. Security personnel nodded respectfully when I passed. New recruits were briefed differently. Protocols were tightened, but I remained unchanged. I still sweep the gate, still mop the floor, still check Building 6 weekly. Because some people need to see that the strongest men don't always stand in front. Sometimes they walk beside you quietly with a mop in hand and secrets in their pockets. Subscribe to Steal a Heart Stories. If you believe the quiet ones often carry the loudest legacies.